This breaking news that has just come out of Washington. The U.S. President Donald Trump has just tweeted that he has tested positive for COVID.
We're doing it. We're rounding the turn. We're rounding the turn under my leadership.
He is in an age group that does carry risk for severe COVID. So this is very concerning.
So the entire staff who traveled with the president this week should be quarantining for 14 days. The President of the United States should be quarantining for 14 days.
Clearly now, all eyes, the focus on the U.S. President Donald Trump has tested positive for COVID.
Now, live. Breaking news from KCTV5 News.
We have a lot to talk about this morning. We're going to get to that breaking news about President Trump in just a moment. But right now, a major crash is slowing down traffic along 435 and 210 highway. It's been hours since this happened, and traffic is still backed up for miles.
Our Savannah Rudisell is there now. Savannah, what are you learning?
Yeah, Gina and Kelly, we're looking right now and we're seeing that we at least have some tow trucks on site here that are starting to get some of the vehicles that were involved in the crash out of the way. We're going to take a look right back here. We know there are at least 5 or 6 different cars involved in this crash this morning. It happened around 6:30. And it's looking, again, like we've got some of those smaller cars out of the way to where crews are now working on the semi-truck that was on fire to get that off of the road. Kansas City police tell us that at least 2 people were hurt in this crash. And as Gina had mentioned, they was causing a big backup. At first, they had all 3 lanes of southbound 435 shut down. And as of about an hour ago, they started to open up just 1 lane. So right now on 435, just 1 lane is open. This is, again, just right south of Harvin Road. So there is still a big backup for miles. For a closer look at that, we want to send it over to Belinda, who has a better look at the traffic this morning.
All right, Savannah, thank you for that update. Now, what we're going to take a live look at here, 435 South, really close to the Missouri River at Route 210. Traffic is trickling by really in 1 lane, and you're seeing that really right around the curb there. It is creating a significant delay for our drivers, especially if you're a Missouri driver in the northeast part of the metro, Liberty, Clay Como. These speeds are about 7 miles per hour right there. So our recommended detours are, if you can, take Shoto, take Brighton, those north and south, Route 1 or 169. You can also avoid the delays for 35 South. Over to you, Gina and Kelly.
All right. Thank you, Belinda. And thank you for joining us at 9 this morning. I'm Gina Bullard.
And I'm Kelly Taylor. Now to that breaking news out of D.C. The president and the first lady tested positive for COVID-19. And we just learned moments ago that the president is now experiencing mild symptoms. Vice President Mike Pence and his wife have tested negative.
It is news that we have been following closely all morning long. And now we're hearing more from scientists about their reactions to this. John Lawrence reports.
Shocking news from the White House overnight.
We're obviously all hoping he and the First Lady don't develop much in the way of symptoms.
President and Mrs. Trump both tweeting early Friday morning that they have tested positive for the coronavirus.
The important thing is that he is in an age group that does carry risk for severe COVID. So this is very concerning.
The announcement came just hours after Hope Hicks, one of the president's top aides, tested positive for COVID-19. White House aides have called Trump the most tested man in the country, although he has repeatedly downplayed mask wearing and social distancing.
It's obviously unsettling, but I'm not surprised given the contagiousness of this virus and what have been the lax protocols.
The number of people that could potentially be exposed and at risk of contracting this virus is significant here.
Several of the president's upcoming scheduled events have been canceled, including a rally in Florida. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Joe Biden has responded to the news this morning. He tweeted about an hour ago saying, "Jill and I send our thoughts to President Trump and First Lady Melania for a swift recovery. We will continue to pray for the health and safety of the president and his family." We do know that Biden and his wife were tested this morning. We'll update you on those results as soon as we get them.
And now let's take a look at where the stocks are right now. And it's not looking good with the news of President Trump's positive results. You can see the Dow down as well as the NASDAQ this morning as well. We'll be watching closely as the day goes on.
Now, obviously, as this story rapidly develops, there are more questions than answers, especially when it comes down to who else has been exposed. Now, this video, this is from a rally on Wednesday, and it shows the president throwing hats, which are possibly contaminated, into a crowd of supporters at a rally in Minnesota. And we want to show you a look at where the president has been in just the past couple of days. So yesterday, he was in New Jersey, where he took part in an event with supporters at his golf club in Bedminster. He returned to D.C., and then he had an interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity. Wednesday, the president traveled to Minnesota. That's where this video was shot. First, he was participating in a fundraising reception in Shorewood and then held a rally in Duluth. And of course, on Tuesday, the president headed to Ohio for the first ever presidential debate with former VP Joe Biden. The two did not shake hands, and they were socially distanced during the debate. We've learned this morning Biden is getting tested for the virus.
Now, while the majority of people infected by COVID-19 recover, the president is 74 years old, and the threat climbs with age. He's also considered obese, which is another risk factor. If the president starts to experience worsening symptoms, it could take weeks for him to recover. Now, that's where the 25th Amendment may come in. The president has the option of temporarily transferring power to the vice president. Now, he can reclaim his authority whenever he deems fit. Since the amendment was ratified in 1967, this has only happened 3 times. In 1985, Reagan underwent a colonoscopy and briefly turned power over to VP George H.W. Bush. President George W. Bush invoked the amendment twice, turning over power to Dick Cheney in 2002 and 2007, also during colonoscopies. Now, the administration has not said President Trump has any plans to do this, even if he does come down with symptoms.
Now, there is a long history of presidents falling seriously ill while in office, including some during epidemics. So George Washington faced an influenza epidemic during his second year. Woodrow Wilson was sick during Paris peace talks after World War II with what some specialists think was the flu. Wilson also had a stroke in office, and Dwight D. Eisenhower had a heart attack in his first term, then a stroke in his second. 4 presidents have died in office because of natural causes. But health issues in the White House, they've been much rarer recently. Since Reagan was shot in 1981, no president has been known to face a life-threatening condition while in office. We are going to be continuing to follow this story very closely on air and online. So make sure you sign up for alerts on that free KCTV5 News app. We'll let you know of any breaking developments there as well.
Now let's go to Bill Hurlbrink.